think my job is very easy after the wonderful presentation we just had. I think the number of questions that were asked is a reflection of what everybody wants. A fabulous job. So I think the fundamental takeaway for me out of the last session is, and I think everybody will agree, is what we want HR to be, what we want organizations to be, is probably what we all heard. Am I right? So we as HR professionals would want our organization to be like this. We would like to create practices like this. Now, we will realize one thing. When we talk about transformation, when we talk about digital, when we talk about AI, it's all at the background to facilitate whatever you heard just now. And AI or technology is not the front foot. The front foot is actually being human, behaving like humans, fulfilling human needs. And I think we have to make and understand that differentiation. That when we are talking about digital or digitization or about transformation or about technology, it is all to facilitate and drive being human or becoming more human-like. So my presentation is in a total different tangent than what you heard. Basically, if we are saying this is the human thing or the human performance or the human behavior that we want, like what you just heard in the case study now, the question is, how do we create it? So I will focus upon that, and I'm not going to bore you with 34, 35 slides that I've prepared. I will take 5-7 minutes to run through 30 slides. It's a summary of, I think, what everybody knows already. So for last 5-7 years, we all have been hearing this story time and again, and probably everybody knows every word about it. So I'm not going to spend too much of time talking about the story, but rather how do we create this story? So we all know about mega trends, and I'm going to be real fast. So there are trends which impact, transform the way we live, the way we work, the way we interact. And some of the mega trends that we are seeing is on the display. And the mega trends keep emerging. And I'm pretty sure most of you are loving ChatGPT now. And one of the, again, a new emerging factor, and as we move forward, these mega trends will continue to evolve more and more. What it all means is disruption is a new constant. And I think every conference, every story will tell you this. So there has been, the impact of all this that is happening around us is creating VUCA or a Barney environment now. VUCA is more focused on present. Barney is something which is more futuristic, brittle, non-linear, then it is unimaginable. That's what we are talking about, and of course it is ambiguous. So these are basically what is happening. Industry boundaries are blurring. Banks, finance firms, NBFCs are becoming fintechs. Insurance, insurtechs. Education, edutech. So industries are blurring, new opportunities are coming. We are all talking about digital business model. We are all talking about digital and physical merging as one. Everybody is talking about metaverse and so on and so forth. We all had a great realization during the COVID, and then everybody wants hyper-personalization. So these are all stories that we all have been hearing, and I think we have literally, I would say, parroted it. Okay. The response that we require for all of this is continuous. So we have disruption one after the other. So we need to constantly and continuously respond to changes that is happening around us. We may like it, we may not like it, but we have to. Similarly, everybody wants everything now. Do we wait? We don't. It has to be seamless. We don't want problems, we don't want challenges, we don't want breakages. And of course, we want it anytime, everywhere. These are the things that we want to have. So the choice is either we disrupt or we will be disrupted. As businesses, as professionals, and as individuals, I think it impacts all of us. So because of all these changes and all these requirements that are coming up, we are all talking about that a new future of work, workplace, workforce is getting created. So we have all heard this all. So I'm continuously going to move forward. But there are some stark realities. There is talent shortage, and talent shortage is at peak right now. We have jobs which will not be filled. We have scenario where companies will not be able to maximize their growth because of lack of talent. And I think this is exactly where HR comes into the picture. In the CEO survey, 26 CEO survey by Price Waterhouse, most of the CEOs say that if they continue the current track of business, they will not survive beyond 10 years. So imagine if your organization is in the current track, according to most of the CEOs, probably the lifespan of the company itself is 10 years. That means transformation, adapting new ways is not just mandatory, it is essential for you to survive. And of course, what is the biggest risk as per that survey? It's the workforce. So we have the current talent operating model. It is based on fixed hierarchies. Does it allow us to be seamless? Does it allow us to be continuous? Does it allow us to be anytime, anywhere? Does it make it smooth and easy for us? It is based on jobs. Probably, if I ask for a show of hands, when was the last time you revisited your competency frameworks in the organization? How many of you did it in last 6 months or 1 year? Or those who did maybe 5 years before. So we have static competency framework. Jobs are changing. Again, when we say jobs, these are rigid boundaries of tasks in job description. How many of you actually do what is written in your job description? So that's again something important aspect to look at. Similarly, we all talk about workforce being FTE, full-time equivalents, full-time employees. The contract nature may be different. And then of course, career path basically means a vertical growth. My title must change from an executive to a senior executive to a manager to a leader to a HR head to a C-suite, and we feel nice about it. This is all what is happening today in the talent domain. And of course, we create one size fits all. Now, in every meeting, every conference, every research paper that you read today, you will find three things as common. Work isn't about jobs only. Workplace isn't about a place anymore. And workforce isn't about FTE only. So we are talking about a new talent architecture, where we are talking about a new work architecture, new work arrangement, new ways of working, skills being the core, technology integrated, personalized, lifelong learning, new leadership. But the question is, for what? And then of course, so for me the answer to the for what is very simple. It is all to achieve what you heard in the previous presentation. And my two takeaway from the previous presentation was, yes, business results are definitely very, very important. We are a business organization, business results have to be achieved. We need to do some of these to achieve business results. But at the same time, we talked about being human. We want to be inclusive. We want to be recognized. We want growth. We want opportunities. We want to talk. We want to collaborate. We want to express our feelings. So some of these aspects are to bring that human being out of us. And I think the combination of
I mean, everything what we said. I would say, really, for me, is keep the human in HR, and continue to challenge status quo. Don't just accept things. Really try to always want to improve them.
actually recommended you and told you that, hey, the day you are coming back from a vacation, you have a board meeting for which you have to do a submission. For example, it actually told you, I see that you made a booking for traveling to XYZ location. These are the events happening. This is the kind of weather that is there. You could do this. So, if we realize the difference between a nice UI UX, which unfortunately what most HR techs have reached today, is not sufficient. And we as HR practitioners must start to push the HR tech companies to deliver the kind of experience we want. Unless we do it, HR tech companies will not come up on their own. But for we as HR professionals to make that happen, we have to be like an architect. And if you look at a building, first you create a blueprint, you create a map, you create a design. The design has got the length, the breadth, every dimension is covered. And then that is delivered in reality. Are we doing this? How many of us have actually, we all talk about employee experience. How many of us have actually been exposed to design thinking? Are we improving HR processes versus keeping the user at the center as the core? Do we do that? So I think we have to start to realize that we may talk about the future of work, we may talk about hybrid workplaces, workforce, all these jargons, presentations are nice. And the reality is, we do have 20% of the companies who have adapted, and KFC probably is one of those examples. You love me, but I'm not talking about those 20%. I'm talking about, can the 80% that is left behind, can we all move to the next level? And unless we start to do this, business will never take HR seriously. With all due respect, we may say we are doing nice job, fancy titles, but at the end of the day, we are doing transactions and we are paper. If we want to change that, and if we want to take lead, I think first and the foremost thing we have to do is start to get to define things. Now, going back to defining things, the first fundamental thing which I see which HR people do not know how to define, and yet we say we are owners of it, is the word job. I have consulted over 70 organizations in this region, and I can tell you most HR practitioners do not have an idea how to capture jobs. We create a template, we leave it for the line manager to fill it, and I can guarantee if I ask for a show of hands that almost 90% of you would say that there are task overlaps or gaps that exist in all our job descriptions. And yet, if we have to move forward talking about digital workplace, the most important thing that will come into picture is the word task. Because remember, job is nothing but it is an accumulation of tasks that you do. You never replace a job, you replace tasks. But unfortunately, today we have coupled tasks very, very tightly into the word job. That is precisely why we make jobs redundant. And unless we change the term job and move to the concept of task, and then we say the task can be done in different ways, we are not going to change anything. Tasks have to be personalized based on the skills that the individuals bring in. So saying and talking from jobs to skill is easy. But for us to move to that job to skill means we need to initiate a massive project in our organization of first capturing the tasks. then looking for what skills are required in that, defining those skills on one side of it. Then for every task, we have to look for patterns. Is it more mental? Is it more physical? Is it independent? Is it interdependent? Is it repetitive or is it completely variable? Some of these factors will help us come to a conclusion whether these tasks can be done better by machines or better by us as human beings. Once we start to define, we may then decide a digital technology to help us. We are not doing any of these fundamentals in the profession, but everybody is jumping into the bandwagon of, hey, I'm digitized. But we do not have the fundamentals. Technology comes second. I think the core shift that we have to bring is start to look at tasks seriously. Can the tasks be automated to take away a repetitive job? Can the tasks be done by machines better? So it makes my life easier. I'll just take 2 minutes. So to make my life easier, and similarly, this will help me decide what technologies I should bring in to complete my digital transformation. Now, that's not the only part of the task. Now, once I know these are the tasks, can I ask Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C to take up tasks which they love to do? That's the only way we can create flexibility. That's the only way we can create agility in the organization. Why people are not engaged? We have been talking 87% of the workforce is disengaged. And we have tea, coffee, engagement initiatives. The only people who make money out of it is gone. After 20 years, if we are saying we are still disengaged, there is something fundamentally wrong. The fundamental wrong is the word job. Because in the workplace, we first go to do something meaningful. And our jobs are not allowing us to do something meaningful. That is only possible if we start to decouple work and job and look at tasks. Now, when you start to embrace this model, this requires a lot of maturity. You may then post jobs, a collection of tasks which require, say, 8-hour working. That will give you your full time. You may have a collection of tasks which can be combined as a as a project, because you want to take up something new. You could combine a set of tasks which is seasonal. We have full-time jobs of product managers in the company. In the whole year, they launch one product. What do they do for the remaining 6 months? Can they be utilized somewhere else? So our job boards will start to populate beyond jobs, projects, assignments that might be required by people. And that is what is called as your internal talent marketplace. But to say I will create an internal talent marketplace is not going to happen unless you have deciphered tasks out of the jobs. So we have to understand that there are a lot of fundamentals which we need to change. And decoupling tasks out of the job is what is the future of work. And when we talk about workplace, can these tasks be automated, done by machines? Can it be done from different locations? The answer is yes. That's when we start to decide whether these tasks will be done from a third-party location or at a physical location, and we start to create either a hybrid or a remote work. We do not randomly move. There are serious repercussions of that. And then, of course, your workforce. It will no more be just full-time employees. It will move to freelancers, gigs, because you want to pass on tasks.
Thanks, Mike.
And a classic example, I will probably end as I can see. So I wanted to take up a few exercises to see, let's take succession management. Now, succession management. How many of you are involved in succession management?
Has some experience.
And do we realize one thing? then succession management is probably one of the key board agendas that we have, right? And how many of us really know that successions do not work? Every research will tell you succession management does not work. Why? Because we are looking for individuals to be fitted against a job which is called as critical. A job which is critical today may not be critical tomorrow. Okay. I think we have to start to use another concept. We have to start to look at jobs which are ascending or descending jobs. Means jobs which require skills which are more prevalent to make you successful, and jobs which basically are going down the skill path and no more be required. Okay, now we start to look at this concept. Succession management will change completely from filling up critical positions, and think of the other thing which I just talked about, tasks. So imagine you could not find a successor for a job, but can you find individuals or people or machine in your organization who could do all the tasks that are there in the job? And if you could do that, would you be mitigating the risks that you have in the organization? The answer is yes. But does our HR system allow us to do that today? No. So if we want to create a new future of work, new workforce, and a new HR, we will have to reimagine, we have to reboot and reinvent everything. And a classic example again of succession, if I take up, how should your technology look like? For me, to do your succession, you have job descriptions. Okay, you have to define your success profile. Once you have defined your success profile, you have to define your assessment approach. Now imagine you do not allow a position to be created in your system without these three things. If you do not allow a position to be created in your system today, then what will happen? An employee has to just go take up the assessment. The moment he takes the assessment, you get his gap match. And the moment you have the gap match, you can see to what degree does he fit up with the job for which you are looking at succession. And the question is, why do you have to look for only those jobs? Why can't you map that employee against all the jobs which might be filled or vacant in the company? Does it change your entire approach to your talent management? Does it change your entire approach to hiring, to mobility, to fitment? And to me, these technologies are available today. And that's the role AI will play. So the HR tech has to move from systems of save, edit, delete, and giving nice UI UX to systems which can be collaborative, where you can collaborate, where you can communicate, which matches, gives you recommendations, and all in one click. I think that's the journey which HR tech has to do. But as HR professionals, we have to go back to the foundations and the basics of reimagining. Unless we reimagine, create that design in a piece of paper maybe, and then work out in a project way to execute them, I don't think we will ever create a new future of work. And we will always have the Pareto's principle which will apply. 20% of the companies will move forward, remaining 80% will be laggards, and of course, now it is the question of survival. If we do not adapt this, we are not going to survive. Thank you. I'll share the PPT. We have a lot of stuff, but because of the paucity of time, I cannot take all of them. Thank you. If there are any questions, please. Wow, everybody is hungry. Thank you so. Yeah, please.
So basically didn't want to let you go without a question. So the question I have is, I mean, you've spoken about all these things, and I think you very rightly said at the very beginning, a lot of this stuff was things that we already do in our organizations. From your experience, can you share something with us in terms of where somebody has actually made these changes and what the outcomes actually look like? For example, you spoke about digital transformation. Now, the way I understand it, digital transformation to me is not just a website or a portal, right? It's a complete mindset change. And there's a lot of things which need to be put into place before you can actually even initiate it. And most of the times, whenever we talk about digital transformation, it's like, okay, so now I can do this with a click of a button without realizing the effort which goes at the back end before you can actually go click that button. So is there something you can share with us from your experience and knowledge in that area?
So I think the word digital transformation is probably the most loosely used word. Digital transformation has got nothing to do what we understand as the word digital. Okay. It is all about maximizing our potentials, helping us do things in a better way, seamless way. Now, for any digital transformation project, or for that matter, if we remove the word digital and we talk about any change process, any transformation process, any project that we take, the rules are same. First, you have to define what is the purpose. Is your purpose to build employee experience? Is your purpose to reduce cost? Is your purpose something else? Once you have defined your purpose, you have to then start to look at what is it that I have today, which is causing a pain or a bottleneck. And identifying that pain and a bottleneck is very, very critical. Now, I can cite examples of companies where the processes were not a problem. The problem was the delegation of authority. 5 levels of manager wanted to sign the document. Okay. So the purpose is very important. You have to identify your pain points, and then you have to start to work on how you're going to solve. But solving in a normal way is not going to help. Now, I'll give you classic examples of companies. One company decided that, look, I will have, today, the lifespan of people are increasing. So why retire at 60? Now, can I have all those people who are 60 and above, who have wealth of knowledge, who have put in maybe 20, 25 years in your company, be utilized for some other jobs? Now, one of the companies not only created that as a talent pool, they were really thoughtful. They started to see that they require maybe larger fonts on their screen. They require larger monitors. They probably do not want to work at very cold places. Can we have these resource pools sitting at a place which is not very cold with larger fonts? Now, this could be a classic, simple example, but this is where I think the whole experience changes. Okay. In our company, a team took up, and of course, if you rely on your top team to give you the direction of creating employee experience, it will never happen. The best teams are the people who work at the ground. So our team was working on looking at how to enhance the experience of women who are pregnant. And the team went on to look at every small detail. Does the person have to work on the first floor? Do we have lifts? Okay. Is it a place? We are a gas station. Does it smell? Can we move the person away? To looking at, okay, what happens in the first 3 months, the first trimester? How do we allow flexibility during that stage? Many employees do not want to reveal they are pregnant. Okay, how do you tackle those? So when we are talking about employee experience, it is about looking at who is your end user. Here in this example, it is a pregnant woman. So you have to just start to think all the things that person undergoes, what are the things all this person wants. And to me, if we simply start to put it without any biases, that can we do or can we not do, I think we will come up with a very simple list of things that we can do which will change the experience. So I can go on to give you many such examples which may not necessarily be through large projects or large things. Sometimes it is the baby steps which creates better results. And as the previous speaker said, it is about consistency.